The rainy season in East Africa lasts only a few weeks, and from the moment the last raindrops fall, the sun reappears and the ground begins to dry. By the end of the long, arduous dry season, the Earth looks like the surface of some harsh alien planet. Yet the animals, big and small, that live in East Africa have, in their own ways, managed to evolve and survive the severe dry season. For the herbivores, the African summer seems to arrive too quickly. The lush green grasslands soon wither and turn a shade of yellow. For other animals, like the shrew and the tortoise, food becomes increasingly scarce. During the dry season, pools, ponds, and even rivers gradually dry up. For terrestrial animals, going to the riverbank to drink is a great challenge. For aquatic creatures like hippos, frogs, and fish, the desiccation is a catastrophe. But how do these creatures survive the dry season to await the coming rains? To answer this question, let us explore the lives and coping mechanisms of a few creatures during an extremely harsh dry season in East Africa. In the mud lives a special fish that has remained virtually unchanged for over 300 million years. The lungfish. After a long period of evolution, the lungfish has survived many harsh periods thanks to its lungs. They can live underwater, but if necessary, they can also breathe air on land and are capable of crawling across the ground to find other, deeper pools of water. When the last small pools dry up, it is time for the lungfish to bury itself in the mud. Like a frog, it estivates there. When burrowing into the mud, the lungfish blows bubbles to maintain an air tube through which it breathes. The next step is to curl itself into a layer of mucus, which dries like parchment to form a cocoon, keeping its body moist. Bodily functions are reduced to a minimum, allowing it to sleep for up to 2 years, waiting for the next rainy season. The dry grasslands, left with nothing of value, easily catch fire from lightning strikes during the dry season and from the irresponsible actions of humans. However, for large animals, these fires pose little harm as they can run very fast. Some animals, like the baboon, have learned to take advantage of the fires to catch insects fleeing from the smoke and flames. The secretary bird sees the opportunity to eat a few snakes, escaping the terrible heat caused by the fire. Only the slower animals often suffer heavy losses when the fire sweeps through their shelters. The dense, dry grasslands, when burned, incinerate many creatures within them, and the carcasses become a feast for scavengers. After the fire subsides, the winds in East Africa often change direction at night, and by the next morning, the fire will have completely stopped. On the ashes, life will quickly and temporarily be reborn. Spiders spin shimmering webs on the remaining blades of grass. After the fire has faded to catch insects on the barren, scorched earth. The balance has been broken, as both predator and prey have no place to hide and are easily spotted against the black ground. Beneath the cracked, dry earth, frogs, toads, and lungfish are curled up in their cocoons, sleeping soundly. Their heartbeats are nearly still. They are barely breathing. Their blood pressure has dropped, and their kidneys are not working. All these animals have entered a moisture-retaining sac to overcome this harsh time. They sleep as if dead for months, even years, if necessary, waiting for the return of the rains. Above ground, dust and smoke in the air make the sky seem mystical. But before the rainy season arrives, a new day always belongs to the vultures, the animals that specialize in eating carrion. Another strange wonder of nature is that the sandgrouse chooses the dry season, the most severe time, to lay its eggs. The male and female sandgrouse take turns incubating the eggs. They only leave the nest in the morning or evening to find food and drink water at the nearest pool. While incubating, the parent sandgrouse will drink hastily and return to the nest. But when the eggs have hatched into chicks, it's a different story. The male sandgrouse will both drink and repeatedly soak its belly. Normally, bird feathers are waterproof, but the downy feathers on the sandgrouse's belly are structured like a sponge and quickly become soaked. After storing water, the sandgrouse quickly flies back to the nest, which can be kilometers away, to avoid losing water to the heat. At this time, the chicks are lying still in the grass, and camouflage is their only method to avoid predators like jackals. The sandgrouse chicks bury their beaks into the male's belly and drink the water with relish. Curiously, the female sandgrouse cannot do this. Only the males can store water, and this unique ability helps them raise their young in the harshest lands at the most severe times of the year. The antelope also overcomes the lack of water by eating these tubers and other water-rich roots that they dig up from the ground. No one knows how this animal knows the location of these roots, but it is clear that this has helped them survive the dry season, without having to undertake the arduous journey to find a water source. For the elephant, an animal that cannot live without water, the search for water is an endless journey. The matriarchs will lead the herd along the dry riverbed to a place where they are certain to find water underground. For centuries, elephants have survived by digging for water under the ground and waiting for streams to seep from the sand. It takes several hours for a herd of elephants to finish drinking, and the rhythm around the water source continues ceaselessly, day and night. Following the elephant's water source are many other species, including the rhinoceros. After drinking their fill, the elephants travel far to feed, and it will be a week before they need water again. The rhinoceros, however, cannot live far from a water source, but the vegetation around the water has been trampled or eaten bare by other animals. Therefore, during the dry seasons, many rhinos have died of starvation, not necessarily from thirst. Once every 10 years, the East African region experiences a severe drought. The difficulties then are more intense than a normal dry season, and many creatures cannot survive. Many young elephants have died during the dry season because they are unable to digest the dry grass and twigs like the adults, which is all that is available to eat at this time. When an elephant dies, the entire herd lingers around the carcass for hours until, driven by hunger and thirst, they move on. The drought of a lake is like a slowly tightening vice. Large lakes also dry up, and the muddy lake shores are dangerous traps for animals that come to drink. In the mud pits around the shore, hippos gather in a pathetic state, jostling with countless catfish. Catfish also have the ability to absorb oxygen from the air, like lungfish, but they will die when the mud pits harden under the sun. Without water, the hippos suffer from the sun shining on their skin, which turns red. Exhausted, they are squeezed together, fighting for the mud pits with more water. The entire herd lies in layers, desperately looking up at the sky, where there is not a single cloud and no promise of rain. Though harsh, a long dry season is a necessary, ancestral period, a process of elimination, a time of testing, a time that every species must endure. It is a time when any creature that is not fit enough will be left behind. At the end of the dry season, the weather begins to change, and the first rains arrive in East Africa. Initially, the rains are gentle and soft, like music in a requiem, with light drops falling on the cracked, waiting earth. Later, continuous rains pour down with the sound of thunder, like hymns praising life, and the earth awakens, revived. Underground, awakened by the touch of the rain, the toad-sealed cocoon opens and becomes its own meager breakfast after a very long sleep. When the rain comes, all creatures rejoice, and the rhythm of life becomes jubilant. Perhaps they are celebrating their escape from death in another dry season. The tree frogs, after their time basking in the sun, are now busy with their complex egg-laying hygiene. The female secretes a mucus and uses her hind legs to whip it into a foam that sticks firmly to a tree branch. Then she lays 200 to 300 eggs in the foam, and the male fertilizes them. Sometimes, the eggs of one female are fertilized by many males, and this goes on all night. When dawn breaks, only one female frog is left on the branch, putting the final touches on her egg nest to her satisfaction, and from that moment on, she entrusts them to the care of Mother Nature. Unlike the tree frogs, the burrowing toads guard their eggs carefully. As time passes, under the effect of the sun, the foam of the egg nest hardens like a dry loaf of bread. When the eggs hatch, the tadpoles emerge. Their bodies secrete substances that can liquefy the foam, and they gently fall into the river below the branch. On the ground, the tadpoles of the burrowing toad have also emerged and follow the tunnels dug by their mother, then drop into the water, splashing about with delight. The tree frog and the burrowing toad, with two completely different ways of surviving the dry season and two completely different ways of reproducing. When the rainy season comes, however, the one with the most remarkable estivation is the lungfish. After months or even a year of immobility in the dry mud, the rains have awakened them, and they quickly surface. It takes many hours for these fish, capable of breathing air with their lungs, to emerge from the mud and live in the water like a true fish. The bush forests of East Africa in the rainy season become a kaleidoscope of colors, perhaps only found in Africa. Long-lived creatures like the elephant will witness many dry seasons as well as several severe droughts in East Africa. And for them, the rainy season is a time to return to eating and living a good life. For smaller creatures, the rainy season is a command to eat and mate. During the rainy season, the hippos cross the grasslands with their mates. They take advantage of the short time to reclaim their leadership position and pass on their good genes to the next generation. For the hippo, this is a time to find a new lake, a home where, hopefully, the water will not dry up in the dry season. For the elephants, the rainy season is a period to regain their strength. For the frogs, tortoises, and shrews, it is the mating season. For the lungfish, this is the time to produce a new generation, a generation whose ancestors have scorned droughts for the past 300 million years. In general, whatever creature they may be, they must act when the ground turns green and must not delay or be late. Because the rainy season in East Africa lasts only a few weeks, then the time will come when the last raindrops fall, the sun will reappear, bringing the harsh heat that dries the land, and another dry season in East Africa will begin.